Liquor Board will conduct an investigation into Cubana Fourways to find out if their establishment recently violated its licensing conditions by serving alcoholic beverages after 2 a.m. In addition to this, there's been a High Court ruling stating that shebeen permit holders are now eligible to trade for the next coming 2 years using their existing permits until the 31st of October 2019. Judgment implies that now there should be a revision of some of the aspects of the regulations. But to tell us more about the legalities of serving liquor, we joined now by the MEC for Economic Development in Gauteng, MEC Lebogang Maile. MEC, good morning to you and thank you so much for coming through.
Morning and thanks for having me.
Thank you so much indeed. Just take us back a little to the origins of this court case.
6 years back, there was an initiative by the provincial government to try and formalize all the shebeens by issuing them with licenses. But unfortunately, it was not easy for most of them to qualify because there were zoning issues. For instance, some of them, as you know, because they are informal, they are next to churches, next to schools. They are not in business premises, and those are the requirement of the license. Yes. So then government decided that whilst we are trying to help them, let's issue permits to all of them, and I think it was 16,000 at the time that got permits. But whilst we were busy with the process of trying to help them get the licenses, we were then taken to court by a community association, I think in Beria or something. Then the case has dragged for 6 years. Now what the court is saying is that we must relook at the regulations that we issued then and make sure that we fix the issue in the next 2 years. So what it means is that by 2019 we should have done away with permits and introduced the licenses.
The licensing.
Yes.
All right. So I believe this basically means that your department will not be appealing this ruling, right?
We are looking at the ruling in detail, and if there's a basis, we will. But at this point, we have not made a determination. But I think this is also a determination that would have to be made by the whole executive council of the province. So we will be briefing the executive council. It's not a decision that can be made by myself alone.
Yeah, indeed. But then, this court ruling, in what way does it require your department to change its strategy?
Well, it's making things difficult because what we want to do is to make sure that everybody who trades in alcohol have a license and they adhere to conditions. Because if people don't adhere to conditions, we know the negative effects of alcohol towards crime and all sorts of other social challenges. And we believe that if we have a formalized kind of an arrangement with all the different traders, it will also go a long way in helping the police to know, for instance, who's trading. We're able to monitor whether they are doing it within the law, whether they stick to trading hours and all that. So, which I believe
is a challenge that's faced by your department as it is currently with a whole lot of other shebeens that are not operating lawfully in the province?
A lot of them, and not just the shebeens, including restaurants and nightclubs, and that's why we constantly have raids through our inspectors, working with the Metro Police, the South African Police, and we also want to urge members of the public to bring to the attention of the police people who are breaking the law and not trading within hours.
And I believe the raids would be more significant during this period, more so now that we're moving into the festive season. You find a whole lot of shebeens, nightclubs that are operating outside their operational hours.
Yes, certainly. During this time of the year, I think many people become excited, and because it's towards the end of the year, getting their bonuses, and
so there is money, there are blessings, exactly, a whole lot of things. So, but the MEC, on that issue, talk to us about the issue of Cubana, because that's something that you also spoke about yesterday. It looks like there's going to be some investigations. You've instructed the Liquor Board to look into the issue. What exactly do you want to ascertain from that investigation?
Well, it's not just Cubana. In fact, the Liquor Board has looked at several issues, including the Cubana issue, because they, I think there was an incident that occurred there, and the reports were saying the incident occurred at 3 a.m. So what the Liquor Board was looking at is why were they still trading at 3 a.m. because the law says 2 a.m. And in instances like this, the board has got the powers to suspend license, cancel it, or impose a fine. And I believe that they were looking at imposing a hefty fine.
And without letting the cat out of the bag, they might have violated their license.
Yes,
because they were supposed to have closed at 2 a.m. and they didn't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why we want to send a strong message to everybody to make sure that we don't have incidences like this.
Yeah. One other issue that you spoke of yesterday during the media briefing, MEC, was the issue on the gambling board and its operation. What exactly are you looking into here, more so when one looks at opportunities for black ownership?
The gambling industry is worth about 30 billion rands minimum, and there's a very few black-owned enterprises that are in the space. And what we want to do is to make sure that we facilitate the integration of those black people who want to be in the space. And this we do through the issuing of the licenses when we set conditions. One of the conditions we set now is that 51% of whatever license or operations must be black owned. Last year,
is that attainable though?
It is. We issued 34 bookmakers licenses last year, and that was the condition. And in fact, we were taken to court by some of the operators because they are challenging that. But we are steadfast and uncompromising in achieving that number.
All right, MEC, we'll leave it at that for today. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Lebogang Maile is the MEC for Economic Development, Agriculture here in Gauteng, and he was giving feedback on a briefing he held yesterday regarding new legal requirements for the Gauteng Liquor Board and the Gambling Board as well. We're taking a break here on Morning Live, and after that, you will love or hate it, social media. That's under the discussion. Stay tuned.